I think the relationship between science and religion is largely complementary. One of the areas I'm most interested in terms of science is cognitive neuroscience, or the study of how and why we think the way we do. In books like Sustin and Thaler's Nudge, or David Kahneman's various books, there's been a lot of research in the last 10 to 20 years about not only the way we think, but the things we don't think about, and the way that subtle influences can make dramatic impacts on what we do and why we do it. And the way it relates to me personally with Judaism is the notion of halakha, of Jewish law, being sort of the default model for how we have to live our lives Jewishly. And so to the extent that I believe in halakha as a fundamental source for how we ought to act, it provides sort of the defaults of how I opt in or opt out in various things. Where it gets problematic to me is because I'm beginning to understand how much of an impact small influences can make on human decision making, to the extent that halakha is the product of human decisions, especially in the 20th and 21st century, where legal scholars are continuing to make new decisions about how we ought to act in society. I'm aware of how much those subtle influences can be a factor in that decision making, and that makes me wonder about how aware those who are making those decisions are about how and why they're making their decisions. So it makes it a little bit more complicated to me in terms of how I embrace modern halakha, but also serves to be complementary to how I look at more traditional notions of halakha.